Take it away, Leah.
All right, folks. So welcome. So this is interactive because, I say this every time that like we're all teachers and we're all students, right? So can't do this without you and can't go on this journey for you. So I hope that everyone's ready if not, to just be a part of the conversation and just to dig deep, as well as be prepared for opportunities to be called in to engage if you're quiet and or known to be a quiet person. And sometimes if you're a person that always speaks, like I'm that person, to always just be able to mindful of that and allow space and opportunity for our partners who are sharing the space. So with that being said, I was asked to cover around like just some around organizing skills and clarity around, what does it look like to be clear about why we are doing what we're doing and how do we hold each other up, right? And sometimes holding each other up is holding each other accountable in order for us to reach our goal, right? And so one of the clarities that we have around we should start with is getting a clear understanding of what's our even goal? What is the goal of these pods? What are the reasons for why you are invested in the pod in the first place? So I'm just going to popcorn around, or if someone is ready to answer that question, that'll be great.
I'm sorry, Leah, can you repeat that question? Something was barking at that time.
Remy. So the question was, why are you invested in these pods? So Kendra, I'm gonna call on you.
I'm invested in the pod because I believe in like building community. So I think that, I definitely believe in this slogan that everybody, at any given time has something to give and has something that they need. And so I feel like I get as much from this as I give, honestly. I was super lonely before this, and like I have found a community in St. Louis when I'm brand new here, so it's honestly made me feel like welcome and given me a space to like exist like unapologetically. And so I'm involved because it's what this is like. I think this grassroots effort is what community looks like, and we're trying to break systems. I just believe in it, wholeheartedly.
Great. Awesome. Thank you. Anyone else?
I didn't realize it was going to give me such an opportunity to like engage with the people around me, like the ones that don't come to my ward meetings or the ones that I don't run into in the corner store, like a lot of the seniors that are held up in their homes. So that has been a treat. As you know, I miss my grandmother. So with all these old people, I'm just like in heaven. But yeah.
Yeah, deepening relationships, building community. Yeah, that's anyone else?
For me, it's like a combination of advancing a more radical vision of society and just like having friends. And I think both those things are so important, and just getting to practice so many skills that I think are important and want to grow for myself.
Okay,
I'll say real quick, this is Erica, and I've got my camera off because I'm over here printing thank you letters. So you don't want to see my rear and all that kind of stuff in the camera. So, but I just want to say it's part of the work. When you have a mission and things like COVID-19 hit, which changes the focus of the work, doesn't change the mission. And so you then have to figure out, okay, so what else can you do to still fulfill your mission? And as we've gone on and it's grown, it's become truly mutual give and take. I had a lady today call me and she said that she got some groceries a couple of weeks ago and now she wants to mail a check for a donation. And who knows how much it's going to be, but just the fact that she now is able to pay it forward really helps me continue to want to do this work.
Good, thank you, thank you. Again, I hear a lot of deepening relationships, extending, building community. Anyone else? Okay, so if it's quiet, then it can, through a nod, can we then agree that these are pretty much what everyone else is agreeing to and feeling as well, that it allows you to build community, it allows you to deepen relationships and extend the narrative that we're in this together and that we all matter, a more radical ideal, right? Cool, I see thumbs up. I see shaking heads. All right, cool. So that is the clarity of that we're grounded in, right? Now we might all have additional stuff behind, right? What else is the driving force that calls us to actually come and do this work? But when we are clear about our self-interest, our motivating factor, why we come up and do what we do, that allows us to be in community with each other and everyone else on the outside, right? Who is not necessarily privy to the pods or the skyboard, airboard, the one thing I don't like being on. And all of which, answering the emails, getting onto these trainings, right? So that we can continue to strengthen this community, right? So when we think about volunteering, right? There's 3 different kinds of selves that can show up in volunteering, right? And so one is the selfless person, right? And so the selfless person is the one that, oh, I'm gonna go do this, and I'm gonna go do this, and I can do this. Oh, I could do it. You need printing? I could do it. You want somebody to do drop-offs? I could do it. You need somebody to answer phones? I could do it, right? Just hearing that sounds stressful. Can we agree to that? Right? That's a lot of I can do's. So when the hell do you sleep, right? Because there's a whole lot of needs out here, right? So that's the selfless person, right? And real talk, the selfless person is self-absorbed because at the end they're a martyr. You're not calling in community to be like, come help me. Like, yo, you live next door. What you doing, right? Or you're not calling in like Madeline. I hope I said your name right? So like, you're in Tower Grove, right? How we do, the whole thing works. Like I can call you up and be like, hey, I see that you have access. What do you got? Because I got somebody who needs this, right? That's calling in community, right? Right? Because it's not all on us, right? We didn't start this shit, right? And we're definitely not going to be the ones that end it, but we can put a dent in it, right? So selfless person is not healthy. So then we have the person that is selfish, right? Who spends a lot of time trying to lead everything, right? Trying to exert their position, right? In the work, right? Whereas the person that's like, oh no, well, I think it needs to be like this. Or you know what, we're gonna do it like this. Oh, it needs to be like that. Not getting any buy-in from nobody, right? And that's a setup. When y'all hear a selfish or a self-absorbed person, we've all volunteered different spaces. When you hear or see that selfish person, what does that make it? How does that dynamic contradict the space of providing service to the larger community? What is that? What is it that you see? What is it that you feel? That's a call out for someone to answer.
Yeah, I can
go ahead.
Give a shot. It's very directive, and it's like very elitist is how it feels like. And when I've been in spaces where people have had that attitude, they don't care what the community actually wants or what their like service recipients actually want. They know what they want to give, not what they want to receive. or not what, like, they know what they want to give. They have no clue what needs to be received.
Anyone else? Thank you for that. Anyone else?
I mean, in the context of mutual aid and, you know, this project specifically, I do think it also betrays like either like just some sort of like cognitive dissonance between the like purposefulness of mutual aid as it's related to this like greater political framework of like decolonizing and like surviving capitalist forces, like surviving and hopefully defeating, into this project of just like a sort of like, yeah, like not social services in the formal sense, but really just an extension of an already professionalized, already existent way of working, where it's just like, oh, we have extra needs, so we need extra help, not this need is being precipitated by like these violent forces that like bring a pandemic into existence like during a climate crisis, you know, just like thinking of mutual aid as like helping each other instead of like defeating a big thing.
Right. And that's like the clear definition or drive it towards what Kendra has put up for those who, oh, I don't know if there ain't nobody on the phone, but like where she said, you know, saviorism, white supremacy, and systems of oppression, right? It's the behavior of, I know best, I got the best answer, and like, you got nothing to tell me, right? So it's, again, that's not community, right? There is no community when you're dealing or working within the mindset of a selfish or self-absorbed behavior. And look, we all have a tendency to do that. Can we agree to that? Especially when you're the one that feels like you're always the one that everybody's looking to answer the question. You're always the one. So sometimes you just get so damn tired that you just like, you know what, fine, we're gonna go do this. Let's just make a decision already, right? Right? Instead of calling in each other and being like, look, you said you care about this. You said you want to build community. You said that you want to deepen relationships, right? You said that you did not want this top-down behavior or structure, that we were going to all be leaders together. So I'm gonna need you to buy in. I need you to come and answer this, because we got a short period of time happening here, right? And that right there, what I just displayed is the behavior of what someone who's clear about their self-interest and yours, right? We just went through why we do this work, and we all agreed that this is some of the understanding that we come and do this work too. So we have mutual self-interest. But my question now is, are you clear about what the risk is if you don't show up and do what you said you want to do? What's at risk? Juan, I'm calling you on, brother. What's at risk if someone doesn't show up and do, especially in this work, if someone doesn't show up and do what they said they're going to do, even though they said they're grounded in it?
Well, what I think of immediately is letting down those relationships that you've created. But at the same time, I don't want to like put, you know, all the pressure on someone who did say that they were going to say something and they didn't, because I don't know what's going on with them, that they are, you know, that they're making, that they can't do what they said they were going to do. But I learned this from Julia. She told me that in the end, it's going to be at the detriment of the community. So, so yeah, I guess that's what comes to my mind anyway.
No, yeah, that's right. That last piece, right, is the detriment of the community, right? Anyone else? We'll take one more.
I think for me, it's like about a breakdown of trust. Sort of like what Juan was saying, like, it's not so much that I think you're a bad person or that, you know, or that like I necessarily have any judgments to make on that person, but it does make me less trustful of like communicating with you, where it's like, okay, if we had an agreement and then something went wrong and I wasn't communicated about, like, even if it was something that happened, you know, I think we're all pretty understanding people, or like we can be, when it's like, if someone communicates to us clearly, like what their needs are or what's happening in their life, like, that's great to me. I love that. You know what I mean? But when there's no communication, and then there's like a lack of follow through, that to me just means like, okay, well, I'm not going to ask you for something again.
Right. Right. Adriana, what about you? What do you, when that happens, what does that, how does that resonate for you? What does that bring up in you?
Like when you can't do something that you said you were gonna do?
Yeah, or vice versa. When someone says they're gonna do something and they can't. And they don't even bother showing up, or they just
I think everything is always better with communication. Yeah, I think a part of it is like, okay, there's grace for you to be absent sometimes or do things later than you said you were. But there's also this expectation that you can communicate what you can and cannot do, or like update us somehow, because you're depending on us and we're depending on you.
Yep, that's right. Now I've been organizing for a while. Now, the at-risk question is what I got from my sister over here, Ashley, who did this to me when I was struggling to show up right. And so when we are not clear about what's at risk, or we're too busy worried about, oh shit, I didn't do, or oh shit, I don't feel, right? After we've made a commitment, right? Animosity, right, starts to show up, right? Embarrassment for not being able to show up, right? Distancing because you stop communicating, right? Excuses. When the community, which is us, who are in relationship, because we both said that we are working together to do this work, to build and strengthen community, to introduce and support an alternative reality, if you will, of what it looks like for people to take care of people, right? And we basically fractured the relationship, because I don't understand why you're not calling me. I don't understand why you're not even checking in. Or now, like, do I call you? Do I not? Now we're stepping on eggshells. When at risk is the work, right? What's at risk is these relationships that are very new. Some of us have known each other for a while, for many years, but a lot of us have not. We don't, right? And so that's what it looks like when we're trying to hold each other accountable, right? It's because I'm clear that you said that our self-interest is in line, right? So that's our best self, right? But what you're doing, whether if it's you're not able to show up, right, is contradictory, because you can't show up. You're not even calling me, right? You're not even letting me know ahead of time that you just ain't feeling it right today, right? So you're doing the avoidance, right? And that's challenging to the whole point of why we said we were out here doing this work in the first place, right?
So this happened to me, Leah. A volunteer was like, oh, I'm gonna go deliver to 3 families for you. We got too many volunteers, like they need something to do. And then like they ended up being so busy, they actually couldn't do it. And I found out because somebody like hit me up and was like, yo, I thought you was dropping food by today. And I was like, oh shit, I'm not. But it did, like, I just called and checked in with the folks and was like, so did you get to drop the food off? Like, maybe I sent the wrong address. I don't know. Girl. Oh, my dog is doing way too much. And it just turned out that they just got a little too busy. And so, like, it was me, like, in a scramble, like, oh my God. I didn't know that one of these ladies was pregnant and was, like, needing the groceries, and they were young and they were scary, and, like, they had no idea what was going on. But we ended up getting it. But, like, the fact that I followed up with him to, like, make sure that he actually delivered the food meant, like, the next time I asked him to do something, it was, like, so smooth, because he knew that I was going to be like, yo, so are you really going to do this? Or, like, no. Because, like, if you're not, treat you like I treat any other man, like, I will find somebody else to do this. So, you know.
But that's it, right? It's the lack of, it breaks down trust, right? Because nobody here is getting paid extra for this. Nobody's getting paid for this, right? All the resources and supplies that we are cultivating together is to support the community that system chooses to not support, right? And so we are demonstrating a, if you will, a social exercise that has not been seen before, especially in the Midwest, where Black, Brown, Indigenous, BIPOC, other BIPOC, and white folks are working together for mutual understanding, equal ground of leadership to come out into the community and say, oh, we are part of mutual aid. So to the piece of like for example, I'll talk about myself real quick. I remember when I first started in mutual aid, I was not feeling it. It was raining. I had talked to Adriana about like picking up some goods. I had no freaking idea about where I was going, right? I was lost and it was raining, and Ashley knows I don't like driving in the rain, and I hate being lost. Hate it. Like, you could have seen the breakdown that was literally happening inside me, right? But I was clear about what was at risk, right? It is important to me that this relationship that is happening with mutual aid is going to continue to happen. And I was clear that the people who needed the food, needed the resources, was not going to get it any other way. And I knew that they were folks who did not have a vehicle. And they were expecting it today, and I gave my word that I was going to do it today. So I kept calling Adriana like the whole time. Wait a minute, they speak another language. I called Emmeline. Emmeline, could you translate this? Could you call get your husband, get somebody, please help me, help. I called everybody, right? Drove in circles, right? It was like, okay, Adriana, could you call her? Now I'm here, but I don't know where to walk, and where's the entrance at? And right? If I wasn't clear about the community that I say that I'm standing with, I would have gone home. Now I was on my way home to try it again, because sometimes you got to restart because you got a whole attitude, right? But if I wasn't clear about why I'm doing this, it wouldn't be no restart. It'd have been like, all right, well, I'm done. Call them and tell them they can get their stuff tomorrow. Or, Adriana, I'm on my way to your place. I'm dropping it off. You can go take care of it. But that puts all the work back on her. Right? So when we get like this, and it happens, where to what Juan was talking about, that someone might just say like, you know what, I can't do it today, right? We get like that, it happens. So if we're in community and we're building a relationship, sometimes that means to say, you know what, I know I'm on the dock to work to do this delivery today, or this delivery Saturday, and it's Thursday. Yo, I can't, I'm not feeling it, I can't. What do we need to do to move this along? Do I need to call some people? Do you have a list, right? Because we're in this together, right? And since I'm trusting that we are in this relationship because we're clear about what we're trying to do here, that means right or wrong, I should be able to have that type of communication, to be vulnerable. Because ain't nobody on this call millionaire, right? Wish we were, because it'd be a lot easier to do what we do, right? So we too are in need. That's why we're doing it. We're in need to see something go right in our community, to be a part of the shift in our community, right? And we are in need to build these relationships in order to see exactly what the vision is, which is seeing people take care of people, and to be able to hold the system accountable for the lacking of support, enforcement, all that shit, right? But we can't do it clearly if we're not even clear and being willing to be as vulnerable as we're calling the community out to be vulnerable and calling us in to come and help them. Right? And sometimes it's a tough conversation. Sometimes it is. But if I'm trusting you to understand that we are in this relationship together, yeah, we might go through a tough conversation, but at the end, on the other side of this, we're still standing together. I think 1, 2, 3, 4. There's 4 people on this call that I know I fought with verbally before. Whether it's at a table, whether it's on the phone, right? In order to get certain work done, because we saw things differently. But at the end of the day, we didn't walk away and be pissed off and keep that forever. We got some clarity and we moved forward together because we were clear about what was at risk. And sometimes I've been gone off on, because I was not holding up my end of the bargain, right? I was not doing my part and I ran into my shell. And that happens. But you call out the behavior to call in the person. And no matter what, you stand firm with that person to help them move forward to be the best self that they want to be, in which is that thing that they said, that you all agreed, that we all agreed upon, that we're here to do this, to build community, to deepen relationships, right? So that's all I got. I guess, whatever feedback y'all want to have, what comes up when you hear all this? What are some things that you think that you would like to take on up and change in the last 4 minutes that we have?
I had a question for you. When you have like a breakdown of communication and that is sort of loss of trust, how do you re-engage and move forward from that? Like, especially when there's not communication happening.
So, even though I talked about this, there's plenty of people who definitely I want to welcome to chime in. But the encouragement for me is an opportunity to, you call it out, right? You call that person, you reach out and be like, yo, are you okay? First, are you okay, right? If they don't answer, text them, are you okay, right? Then if they're like, yeah, I'm fine. Okay, so, well, what happened, right? Because I needed you said you was going to do this, but instead you did this, and it really put us in a bind. What happened? Give them an opportunity to share, to be vulnerable, like you being vulnerable, making this phone call. And then if they tell whatever, and then you say, okay, well, look, because this is what happened, how can we do something different? Because it caused this outcome, right? This unintended outcome. And it's coming from a space of do no harm. So I'm gonna assume that you didn't mean to mess this up, or I'm assume that you didn't mean to add this extra weight on top of me. But what are we gonna do differently? How can I help you do something differently? What is it? Now, if they don't choose to come up with one, or if it happens again, then you, like to what Ashley said, they don't even, you've already tested, move on to the next person. Because we don't, there's only so much time in a day. And that just shows the investment of the relationship. And right or wrong, it's unfortunate. Sometimes people just need time to go off and do their thing, and acknowledge that, and then, work with other people. And then if they want to come back, be like, look, this is the most important thing, as far as we gotta, check in if something's struggling. And then, let them commit to that and try it again later. Anyone else? Comments, questions?
I just need to do better. Because like my animosity comes up when y'all assign me somebody who's not in North City. But like I know some of y'all like aren't from St. Louis and have no idea where these people live. But I often get people from like the West End or like Skinker Developer area. And like I need to figure out a way in my language and like a way of not just ignoring it, but like communicating back with people like, yo, this person is further north. And like I'm already going nuts. So like, yo, can this pie pick these people up? I know I do get random calls. It's okay, Kendra. It's a girl. It ain't nothing. I do get random calls from like people who don't call the support line that just get my number from like their cousins or something. And so like I would like to say thanks for like all the texts I sent to the mutual aid group that's like, yo, this person in South City is like going nuts and needs food. Yeah, so I really do appreciate that and how we do communicate with each other. I would just say I need to do a little bit better job of communicating with you all more, especially as my electoral work like ramps up, because I will not, like I'll look at the Airtable stuff and then I won't, and then I will, and then I'll take like an hour block to like go through all these people and call them and see like what's going on. But then that's me getting to them like a week later, you know.
Yeah, I was gonna say, Ashley, I get people sometimes that are not in North County, and
Oh,
so
and
what
you
I
have to
started
lightly
doing,
pass them on.
yeah. So what I started doing is I've emailed the people who they would have been assigned to, and I'll attach my intake form that I use for my system, and I'll say, hey, I got this person and their address is this. Do you mind taking them over? And here's their intake form. It's kind of sort of my please take this person in a nicer way of saying it. You know, here's the intake form. Here you go. But you know, sometimes, you know, because of zip codes and boundaries, people don't always know where they live. If they live in North City, West Side, North County,
they really
there are
don't.
things that are really close together, and so they just put whatever. So we just get whatever. So I comb through them, and I also do the intake so that the person who's actually going to be taking the stuff knows what they need and what they want and that kind of stuff. But I'll send them to the right pod, because otherwise I'll be the first person that Leah talked about. I can do this and I can do this and I can do this, and I'm not. And if I start becoming that way, then I won't be effective to the people I'm actually assigned to.
Yeah. Yeah. So go ahead. No, go ahead.
I really appreciate your framing of the like selfless and selfish and self-interested person. I think one thing I struggled with creating our pod in the past, I'm in the Forest Park Southeast, the Grove pod. And one thing that was like sort of at first was like very stressful and felt really bad, but has become a blessing in disguise, is that our first meeting, we had 5 people online. Our second meeting, we had like 12 people online, and then our third meeting we had 4 people online. And it was like, okay, what did we do wrong? Like, why are people not interested? And what I'm realizing, like based on the way you share things, is like a lot of the people that were in the group, like the people that came to learn more decided they weren't down for the shared mission, and like we were not going to have mutual self-interest, and that it's okay to let those people walk away without being like offended by it. And we even had like in that call with 12 people, there was like a person who said something that almost felt like it was like basic, like it was so in the like selfish category. They basically said like, if we're not going to do this my way, then I'm not going to be here. And they had invited like 6 different people to the meeting, and it was like, that's a real power trip. And so it was just like totally bizarre, and I felt like really gross about that interaction for a long time, and it has not sat with me well. But having this framework to think through that with has been like, yeah, good riddance. We don't need that. Like, we just need people who are going to be like down for what we're down for. And I like am feeling much more confident in our like small but like cohesive group now.
Yeah, small but mighty. Yeah.
I'm thinking that. Oh, go ahead.
I just wanted to add that one word.
I think in that same vein, I've really appreciated like the coaching from Julia. I think I tend to be a person that's like, can we work with this person, or, you know, wanting to bring people in and build, but, you know, I really respect the relationships that have already been built. You know, everyone knows I'm New St. Louis, and, you know, came in from California right before COVID. And I'm just, yeah, I think that, you know, we had an opportunity to get some food from somebody, but that opportunity had strings attached. And, you know, it's really important that it's more important that we're upholding the values and the mission of what we're trying to do, and breaking systems that's what it's about. And so when there's people that are offering things that are, you know, upholding white supremacy or saviorism, then maybe we just say no, because those opportunities will present themselves eventually, and they continue to. It just has been wonderful to have just say no, this isn't the timing. It will come through eventually, and it always does. But like, you know, sometimes the easiest route isn't, or even the quickest route isn't the one to go with if it doesn't uphold our values, and if it doesn't enforce like the community that we're trying to build and get back to like those values that Leah like said in the beginning. It's like if it's not upholding what we're trying to build, then it's not part of it. So that's a wonderful lesson.
Yeah, thank you.
This conversation really brings up this one particular thing for me that is like, just in the way that we think of like, you know, there's a lot of people that need stuff right now, and like, it's not their fault, it's this, you know, rotten system, and we remember that, and we try to center that all the time if we're, you know, doing what could seem more like aid work. And like, you know, I'm talking to people about that, and in the same way, like, we also grow up in a culture that really values just like helping and saviorism, and like take on too much, like do too much, do what you do all the things, like look good, all of those things. And so when I notice people having trouble with boundaries, or having trouble with like wanting to do too much and then overcommitting and then pulling back, like, I also feel like it's important for me to have that in my mind, like, this also isn't, you know, not that they can't grow from it, but like, this also isn't their fault. They are a product of this system where we sort of value the wrong things, and like, you know, yeah. So that helps me when I'm talking to people, and like sort of like calling them into something. I feel like also is just like, yeah, I do that too sometimes, you know.
Right. And I think also to that point though is to also remind each other too, like, yo, I see you signed up for all these things, right? Like I'm gonna give up to Adriana. She's been filling so many gaps for Dutchtown folk, right? And that's a lot, right? While she's also been trying to call out for folks to be like, look, y'all, I don't want to be I did not say I want to be lead. I just helped start up, right? And it's hard because we come from a system that has given us top down, right, leadership. So, you know, just like figuring out, what does it look like? What does it look like if we maybe rotate leadership? Just like, if you're down and you said you're down for this, then okay, we're gonna put all our names in the pool, and it goes on rotation, right? This week, this person's gonna, you know, run the schedule, right? This person's gonna help do this, and this person's gonna help do that. And at the end of the day, we just communicate and run it and support the best way we can. There's all different ways. And look, we're not gonna get everything right. But if we don't try, we sure the hell got it wrong, right? And so, like, I just want to leave us with this one thought that's been sticking with me now for a while, is that, you know, whether we're talking about Martin Luther King, Fannie Lou Hamer, and everyone alike, right? The sacrifices that those folks went through, and also the dis-ease, the diseases that were creeping up in their system, was because all of it was expected to come from them. The pressures of doing this work, right? It wears on you. It does. I love this work. I can't not do this work because I organize just for the hell of it. I organize my apartment building, I organize my neighborhood. That's what I do. I help get people resources as soon as I can. But the only way we make sure that we support each other to maintain healthy, right? Martin Luther King was 35, I think, when he died, when he was murdered. They said at his autopsy, he had a 90-year-old heart. And organizing, a lot of times, folks who do this work, especially a lot of the women who do this work, especially women of color, end up carrying being diagnosed with some kind of cancer. And sometimes it's in the womb, right? It's ovarian. And so the clarity that I come with, and I hope I can share with you, it is not, we did not start this. We damn sure aren't gonna be the ones to finish it, but we can put a dent when we are the ones implementing being the example of what we are trying to see in the world. So.
Yay.